Hello, Professor Frielbeck. Today we are going to present Talking to the Test. Our group member is Kelly, Kiki, and Alex. Our presentation has 5 parts. The first part, cognitive theory and video summary. The second part, 2 assumptions and connections. The third part, students' responses. And the fourth part, suggested alternative practice. And the last part is conclusion. From cognitive perspective, the role of general human abilities to process and learn information on the basis of experience is emphasized. The main assumption of cognitive theory of learning from cognitive linguistics point out that language is one of the complex knowledge systems that humans require. Cognitivists believe that between the input and output of knowledge, there are 3 processes: noticing, retrieving, and organizing. For example, language learning involves the discovery, categorization, and determination of patterns through the use of language. Competence of second language learning needs to be achieved by organized learning and consistent practice. There are also some limitations because there are limited findings and implications of the relationship between the language and the brain is premature. In this video, the teacher designed 4 activities for this talking to the test practice. The first part is scanning the poem. Students are asked to have a first impression by looking at a poem and scan it for 3 minutes. They then should write down or mark anything come across their mind and share their thoughts to the class. The second part is reading the poem. Students should really read the poem for 10 minutes and pay attention to what they have trouble understanding and what's their strategy of tackling these problems. The third part is small group discussion. Students will have a group discussion to help each other to discuss the meaning of these words they just had. After the discussion, they should come up with a short summary of the poem. The teacher will walk around to inspire or guide students to solve these problems. The last part is class discussion. The students can ask their partners or check the dictionary and then bring what they still feel confused to the whole class by asking more questions.
Here are 2 cognitive assumptions which are exemplified in the video. The first one is learners have limited processing capabilities, so they cannot attend to all information at once. The second one is students are consciously and unconsciously selective about where they put their attention. Now comes the first assumption. Learners have limited processing capabilities, so they cannot attend to all information at once. In the video, based on this assumption, during the first part, the teacher's instruction is to let students look at a poem and tell the things that jump at them, and students responded to teachers the things they remember after the scheming. For example, Mexican person, somebody old, Mexico words, smelling person, memory past, dying. Facing the overall input, students noticed some specific parts or words as the intake, and then internalizing parts of the intake as the working memory. As a result, after the scheming, they did not remember all parts or words of the poem, just a few of them actually came to their minds. So they spoke out those words they remember by retrieving them from their working memories. And the teacher knew that learners have limited processing capabilities. They cannot attend to all information at once. So she designed instruction which not requiring students perceive all the things at once. Students could understand the poem step by step. Now comes to the second assumption. Students are consciously and unconsciously selective about where they put their attention. In the video, students only remember a few parts or words of the poem after the scheming. They remember the Mexican person, somebody old, Mexico words, and the smelling person out of the rest. And these things draw their attention for a reason. They either have distinct features, strong images, or relate to their previous experiences. As a result, they tend to remember those things consciously or unconsciously and forget the rest of them. So students' responses show that they are selective about whole input, and they only assimilate a few of them as the working memory.
Besides, we identified two things which showed how students were responding to the instruction. Firstly, the students are active when responding to the instructions and willing to share their thoughts with their classmates. For example, in the class discussion phrase, different students shared what they read from the poem from various aspects like the cultural connections and where the author comes from. Based on cognitive theory, students are more motivated to learn information if there is a connection or bridge with their prior knowledge, and the class discussion helps the students to have a deeper understanding of the poem from their peers. Secondly, the students were willing to share their confusion about the text and their opinions about others' questions in the group discussion part. Because based on the cognitive theory, the group discussion gave the students an opportunity to interact with other group members and work together to reach mutual comprehension through negotiation for meaning. For the alternative practices, our group came up with two techniques to teach the same content. The first one is the students will be asked to read the poem individually and then write a story that they think the author wanted to deliver and share their stories with their group members. Then work together to write a story in the groups and share it with other groups after finishing the story. Through this process, the students are able to comprehend what they have read by combining information of the text and negotiate meaning of the poem with the peers. Apart from that, another technique can be after reading the poem individually, the students are asked to create a play in groups or painting individually about the poem's theme, and then they share their creation with other classmates and explain the meanings of their creations. This activity this activity can establish the text-to-self connections, and it is important because students are more highly motivated when they can take ownership of their reading experience and connect these experiences to their own background of experiences. In conclusion, by using the cognitive theory, such as the process of noticing, retrieving, organizing, and some assumptions, the teacher in the video helped her students understand the poem better, modify and accelerate their learning process. And these are our references. And thanks for listening.